And just the usual protocols, folks. If you could put yourself on mute yourself when you're not actually speaking, that would be helpful to everybody else. So the documents for the meeting are online. They're on the website, and the agenda for the meeting is also there. But I'll keep you posted of what item of the agenda that we're on, and if you wish, you can refer to the documents as we go through it. Let's kick off then with apologies, and I'll pass over to our Secretary Haley to see if we have any.
Yes, hi, evening, everybody. We've had a small number of apologies from folk, so I'll just run through these. These will all go into the minutes. We've had apologies from Judy Shepherd, Shalane Clendin, I may well have not pronounced that correctly, Sue Barnard, Cheryl Whitehead, Paul Sullivan, and Dawn Liane. And the reasons given vary from being in America and not being a good time to having tickets for the folk festival, all of which seem entirely appropriate and, fair enough. So yeah, we've got those apologies and they've been recorded through via Anna, the membership secretary.
Super, thanks very much. Haley, our next item, number 3, is the minutes of our AGM of last year. That was on the 30th of May last year. They're there for information, but happy to take any points arising from them that you don't think will be raised in the course of tonight's meeting. But if there are no points, not seeing any indications from the meeting, are we happy to adopt these minutes then as a true record of that meeting? We're getting a hands up from, I'm seeing 2 hands going up, so thank you for that.
I've got the bits here.
Oh, hi, Annabelle.
Hello.
Hi. Well, are you looking
Hi,
for
Annabelle.
the reports?
No, sorry, I didn't even know my camera and thing was on. I switched everything off.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Let's go on to the next item, which is the report of activities of the past year. This is from me. Well, it's been a pretty busy year. We've said farewell to a number of previous members of the Board of Trustees and welcome new members in. I'm going to try not to mention too many names in giving this report because it's difficult to do it without being exclusive. And I mean exclusive in the literal sense of exclusive. But what I can say is we have a very engaged collective of trustees who work in the running of the organisation from 1 year's end to the next. We meet on a monthly basis, either the first or the second Thursday of the month, and except for the month of July, we have a half-day strategic session where we look at a bit of horizon gazing, horizon scrutinizing to think forward what we want to be doing in future times. And I think it's fair to say that we, as a group, we all work quite hard to forward the aims of the organisation. And some individual members of that group work extremely hard because, as in all groups, not only we are mixed ability, but some people take on a lot of work. And can I anonymously thank those people for their work over the past year? We had a full programme of events. Now I'm going to move away from what just what I said I was going to do. They were organised by Colleen Beattie, who's made an excellent job of them over the past year. We had some events, some meetings that were held in person and some that were held online and were filmed. All of them except one were filmed, in fact, and that was part of our useful use of some of our legacy funding. A very high standard of talks and very different talks. You know, one of the online talks was about the exciting things that have been discovered at Blomar and the beginning of the work on the skeletal human remains that were found there in Ham. That was Hugo Anderson Weimark did that. And then an in-person talk was Jenny Murray speaking about research she's been doing into the St Magnus story. And those of you that were at that talk in the St Magnus Hall will remember that when she revealed the evidence about the dating, the carbon dating or dendrological dating, I can't quite remember which it was. It might have been a combination of both. But when she revealed the dating of the casket of the wooden box that the bones were kept in, there was literally a gasp from the audience. So, we've had some pretty exciting things online and in person. Thanks to those who have attended them, and thanks to those who made them happen. We've seen the end of the nest dig, which was quite an event in itself. It was a very busy last year of the nest dig, as you would imagine, and therefore our shop was busy with its full-time staff member that we employed over it, and we were able to maximise our fundraising, half of it going to the nest dig and half of it going to support our programme of funding that we have for suitable grant aiding to support Orkney archaeology. We had the closing exhibition of the NES, and we funded the film that was made about that and the programme catalogue. And next week at our NES talk, we will be having the premiere of the film. We had the Viking Festival this year. We had Alex Leonard's characters, the 4 cartoon characters we commissioned from Alex Leonard, being unveiled to an admiring public, and 4 experts to talk about the time periods that these characters represented. And we have, over the course of the years, worked on disbursement plans for our legacy fund that was set up last year, as well, of course, as the ongoing grant funding to broadly support Orkney archaeology. And this is an ongoing process. There are continuing exciting projects to be funded and that we are hoping to support. And indeed, we'll probably be talking a little about that as a group of trustees at the end of this meeting. So can I ask the trustees to wait behind once we finish off tonight, and there's 1 or 2 items of business to do with grant funding and other matters that it would be useful to get an early decision on. So a busy year. I look forward to 25-26 being an equally busy year. Thank you. We shall move seamlessly on from that to the Secretary's report, where Hayley will not only give the report that she's planned, but she'll pick up in any areas that I have foolishly missed out on in my chair's report, Hayley. So no pressure on you. You're muted, Hayley.
You think we'd get used to that by now, wouldn't you? There we go. I have drafted what is the trustees' annual report, and that again has been circulated. It's on our website, so hopefully folk will have had a chance to read through that. And this is the report that we need to send to OSCA, which is the Charities Governing Association. We have to do that, and it needs to be discussed and approved here at the AGM. So I kind of use that really as the Secretary's report in terms of just helping us keep us straight and make sure we cover all of the business. So I'll go through that fairly quickly. I won't sort of cover stuff that David has already covered, but it's just to be sure that everybody is comfortable with what we'll be reporting back to our charity regulator. So the first kind of key things within the trustees' annual report are quite obviously the name of the charity trustees that have been charity trustees over the period ending the end of March 2025. So you've got the list of names there, and just underneath that, the list of trustees that we have had in the year, but who were no longer on the charities board at the end of the accounting year. So that was Amanda, Francesca and Cameron, and they've all contributed a great deal in their time when they were on the board, and we're very sorry that they were not able to stay with us, but they left in good standing and with our kind of affection and keeping in touch, really. And it's been very good to have that group cohort of people there to support us. Going down then into the structure and governance, as folk will be aware, we do have a constitution. Again, that is available on our website for anybody who wants to have a read through it. At the AGM last year, we had reviewed the constitution and did a full update. So we've not done any changes to the constitution this year, and we're not asking the AGM to approve any changes. So the constitution, as approved last year, is still our governing document. The trustee recruitment and appointment, just to confirm as we need to, the status of trustees. All of our trustees are voluntary. They are appointed through the AGM process and they are all unpaid. And we will go on to appointment of trustees shortly for the year coming up. Our charitable purposes and our aims and objectives have been slightly slimmed down in the constitution that we approved last year. We just made them a little bit more focused. So that's simply cut and pasted from the constitution that we approved, and it remains the same and will do until or unless there's a view that we should change them. So then what we need to report in is our achievements and performance, and David has covered a significant amount of this, so I'm not going to repeat that. I think what I would pick up just two things that probably we're looking more about taking forward into next year, but it's worth noting what we did or didn't do in the last year, is the St Magnus Graffiti Project Phase 2, which we've talked about for a little while. We were not able to do any work on that in the last year, other than keep in close contact with Fran Flett-Hollenrake, who folk will know is the curator at the cathedral and really was the sort of the genesis behind the project that we did a number of years ago. We weren't able to do any work on it really because a lot of our time as a board this year was spent around supporting the Nessa Brogger, particularly the work around the shop, because it was our opportunity to get in some income for the next few years, and Anne will take us through that a little bit more when we look at the accounts later. But having said that, going forward, although this wasn't last year, and this year coming up, Fran Flett-Hollenrake has come back to us with a proposal on Phase 2. The board is very keen to progress this, and it's probably something that we'll be getting some information out to people after the summer in terms of what Phase 2 of the St Magnus Graffiti project will look like. But in a nutshell, we're going upstairs and we're going to be having a look at seeing what is up in the higher reaches, which is very exciting, but inevitably is going to mean smaller numbers of people involved and obviously a much higher focus on the safety of people that will be involved, because some of those areas are pretty inaccessible and difficult to get to. So we'll be looking to have volunteers to help with us on that, but it's unlikely to be as large a volunteer project as we had in the first round. But we will come back to you with more information on that. And the other thing is just to note that we did not have a Brocktoberfest in 2024. That's been an event that we've held for a number of years in October, celebrating Brocks and all things Iron Age. Again, we weren't able to do it because of the capacity within the board. We did offer it to other archaeology societies and charities around the area, so up in Shetland, over into the Western Isles, down into Caithness, etc., to see if any of them would like to run it for a year, but nobody was able to do that, and we probably offered it a bit late, really, in retrospect. So that didn't happen, but it's not to say that at some point in the future we won't think about it. But again, looking forward rather than looking backwards, we will be doing an archaeology festival in Orkney in this September, which we can cover in a bit more detail in future meetings, but watch this space. It will run from the 11th to the 14th of September inclusive, and we are currently pulling together a programme working with colleagues at UHI, at the Archaeology Institute, working with Historic Environment Scotland, and also working with Paul Sharman, who is the county archaeologist and who gave a good talk for us in the period of time that we've been talking about. So we've got some really good and very exciting speakers and events coming in through that. But it is our first time attempting to run a festival of this scale. So we're doing it as a trial to see, are people interested? Will they come? There'll be a variety of events, what works and what doesn't. So watch this space. Then just going back to the trustees' annual report, the financial review will be covered by Anne Stacey when we get to that point on the agenda. And that's it in terms of the report. Again, there's just a confirmation at the very end that all trustees volunteer their time freely and their services freely. And although there is the occasional payment to a trustee, that is simply reimbursement for expenses such as post, etc., etc. And again, that is shown quite clearly in the accounts. And that's it. So if everybody is happy with that and we've got no objections, then what David and I will need to do is to get that signed off, and then we will be able to get that submitted to Oscar. The deadline for that is the end of December, so we've got a little while yet. But it would be very good if the AGM is happy to agree that that would be an appropriate report.
Super. Thank you very much for that, Hayley. Let's deal with the formal part of that first of all. Are we happy to approve the Oscar report that is in the documents that this AGM requires to sign off? Important part of our governance as a charity. Happy to go with that. I'm seeing hands going up and smiles and nods round the room. So let's assume that that's a yes for that. Is there any questions or queries on any other aspect or any aspect rather of Hayley's secretary's report there? I'm not seeing anything. Okay. I wonder if I could raise a question, not to you, Hayley, but as you were speaking there, it made me think of something I might have mentioned in my report, and it's a query to our webmaster, Mark Newton. Sorry for dropping this on you just now, Mark. I should have thought to forewarn you about it. We've been filming, Mark, with increasing improved upgrading and quality, quite a number of our events and uploading them onto our YouTube channel. Mark, could you say a little bit about the YouTube channel and if there's a way that we can improve our viewing figures of it? This is a genuine question, Mark, because I'm full of fertile ignorance about it.
Thanks, David. I owe you one. Yeah. Right. Our viewing figures are actually quite good. It does depend on the talk itself. And we're striving to move our account up to the next level of YouTube, which will mean that we can then ask for donations and run adverts and generate some revenue from the YouTube channel. We're very, very close to that. We're asking people, and we've done this to all our members, ask them to subscribe to the channel, which obviously doesn't cost them anything, but then when they're a subscriber, they get notification of new content going up there. The content obviously depends on how many talks we get, and when the festival goes forward, then we hope to get a lot of content from that. And obviously after Nick's talk, Nick's last talk got over 6,000 views. It's still holding the record, so we would expect that or more this time round when that becomes public. Also waiting on the YouTube channel is the film of the exhibition, which is there, not viewable at all at the moment, and that will appear live after we've had Nick's talk and we've done the preview at the theatre. That's about it, really.
Great, that's really helpful, Mark. Thanks for filling us in on that. Very useful. Okay, let's move on then. The next item is resolutions. Hayley, do we have any resolutions for discussion tonight?
No, we've had no resolutions put forward, David. So no, we do not.
Okay, thank you for that. Our next item is the Treasurer's Report and consideration of the annual accounts of the organisation. And George, is this for yourself to handle?
I think it's for Anne to explain it, because she's drawn up the...
Okay, sorry, let's pass over to Anne. Where are you, Anne? I'm looking at my list in front. Oh, there you are there. Sorry, Anne. Anne Stacey, the accounts and the Treasurer's Report, please, Anne. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. So the accounts are on the website along with all the other paperwork. At the end of the year, OAS had £109,600 in the bank account, and £1,878 of that was restricted for specific use. This includes £84, which was donated to OAS for the Cairns project, £160, which was donated to OAS for the Tomb of the Eagles, and £146, which was donated to OAS for the Ness of Brodgar. So these amounts will be transferred to the relevant organisations in the new year. The remaining £107,700 is unrestricted, and it can be used for the general running of the charity. The shop income this year, that amounted to £35,185, which is £11,000 more than last year, and this was mainly due to the shop being open for that bit longer. The additional income, along with the costs of the sales being slightly lower, means that the profit for this year for the shop was £14,600. Looking down at the next bit, the general income increased by about £8,200, with the main increases being seen in book sales and donations received. General expenditure also increased this year, but that was mainly due to the Thinking Digital exhibition book, which was printed. There were 4 grants issued during the year, which amounted to £7,650. There were only 2 grants issued last year, so that explains the difference in the figures there. And all of this movement results in an unrestricted surplus of £4,756 at the end of the year. And just a final point regarding the shop, the income from the shop that related to the Ness of Brodgar Trust amounted to £76,469, meaning that after the related costs, £73,468 was transferred to the Ness Trust during the year. That's everything, unless there's any questions.
Sorry, thank you for that, Anna. I was muted. Any questions, folks, to Anna on the presentation of accounts? Are we happy to accept them as they appear in the document that you have in front of you? That is on the website. Nods round the room. Super, thank you for that, folks, and thank you for the report, Anne. The initial confusion, can I just clarify for that? Anne is our treasurer and does all the professional treasuring and accounting businesses. George handles it as the board member with responsibility and reports and updates us on the financial situation and the treasurer issues, which is why I mistakenly went to George in the first instance. And my apologies to you, Anne. Okay, let's move on then to our next item, which is, it kind of leads on from the last one, and it's appointment of an independent examiner of accounts, which is a requirement. Probably it comes from Oscar, I would imagine, but it goes along with all good practice that somebody that has no involvement with an organisation scrutinises the accounts. Do we have a nominee, Hayley?
Yes, I would like to nominate Davy Campbell again. He's been the independent examiner of the accounts for a number of years, does us a very good job, is very diligent, and makes sure that it's done in plenty of time for us to meet the Oscar deadline.
Okay, Hayley, thank you for that. That's Davy Campbell being nominated. Can I see a seconder for that, please? Yep, I see Joe Horrocks got his hand up there. Thank you, Joe. Happy to accept that nomination. Super. Thanks, folks. And let's move on. Membership Secretary's report, and I think Anna is going to give this just now. And there are 2 associated documents with it. Anna.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. I know it says Mark Newton underneath there, but truly I'm not Mark. I just stick with being Anna. It's a short report. Our current membership, as I think I've told you, stands at 564 members now. Sadly, we lost one of our life members the other day. But we still have an increase of 29 over the past year, which is excellent. And most people just happily renew, which is even more excellent. It's always nice to have them back. We haven't raised the membership fees. We're aware they're very low in comparison to other archaeology societies around the country, but I think our big membership base reflects the fact that people enjoy it, they are interested in what we do, and whilst there are increased costs in publishing and posting, we will do our best to keep the subscription at the level that it's at. I think it's actually beneficial to do that. I know some of you have suggested that the review should be published digitally. We're very, very reluctant to do that. First of all, the file is far too big. But secondly, it would simply mean that it rockets around the country, and then we wouldn't have a chance for new members who get excited about receiving the review. So I think it's best to keep it as a physical review at this current time. We need to bear in mind that the primary objective of OAS is the support, protection and promotion of archaeology in Orkney. And to do this, obviously, we need the funds. Our membership base is a very important way in which we do this. And I'm very grateful to many members who also donate extra money, which is brilliant when they can do that. And it's very generous, and it comes through from time to time and generates quite a lot of excitement as I send the email out to the board to say, hey, we've had a donation, and we're all really pleased. Finally, my personal thanks to our members for their continued support. I look forward to keeping in touch with you through the year. Do let me know if you change your email address, otherwise I won't be able to contact you. And that's about it. If you've got any questions, well, here I am.
Super. Thank you very much for that, Anna. Any questions to Anna on any aspects of her report? It looks like we're in rude health, Anna. Yes, question there, please.
It's not really a question. I just wanted to say that I think this year's review is fantastic, and thank you very, very much.
Oh, that's lovely of you. That's George who does all that. He does a fantastic job, and yours is not the first words of praise we've had, I can tell you.
I think that would be seconded by everybody else in the room. It really, folk will have had the review courtesy of Anna and Mark, by the way, because they're the ones that do the posting of it out, which is a marathon job, courtesy of them. But the reviews come through, and it really is an absolute super job. And George does it virtually single-handed, I have to say. He makes an excellent job of it. I think it reflects two things. It reflects the very high standard of archaeology in Orkney that we are privileged to be involved in, but also reflects the professionalism of the people that are writing for the review and George in putting it together. So yeah, well done. Let's minute that, please, in today's minutes. And thank you for raising that. Any other observations on the membership report? Okay, let's move on. The election and re-election of our charity trustees. Now, clauses 52 to 55 of our constitution outline what we require, what the parameters are. We have a minimum of 6. I don't know if the organisation has ever operated with as few as that, and a maximum of 15. But we don't get precious about the maximum. And if we find there are people who are really keen to play a role and we somehow don't quite have space, then we do have the options to the ability to co-opt if we wanted to. But that's what we have. I know we have an existing group that will be up for re-election. Hayley, do you want to take us through this part?
Yes, I'm very happy to, David. I've just this minute lost the document off my other laptop. So again, it's on the website, so it's there as the list. So hopefully people have got access to that. Just to say that all of the existing trustees have indicated a willingness to stand again. We have got one person who is effectively standing down, however, which is Julie Cassidy, who has been a trustee for a number of years, but for various reasons hasn't been able to attend as frequently as she would like to. And so she has said that she feels it's better for her at this point to stand down. Julie's been a really effective trustee, and certainly participated when we've needed support. So it's a shame for us to lose us, but we accept that obviously people's lives change. So that's absolutely fine. So at the moment we have 12 names on the list, which effectively leaves us with a vacancy for 3. It's fine, we can run with 12. But if there is anybody who would be interested in becoming a board trustee, they can either put their names forward now, or they could get in touch with me after the meeting. If anybody would like to come along and observe a board meeting, they'd be very welcome to before they make a decision if they want to be part of the board. We do meet in person. So at this point, we are all of us based in Orkney, and we've continued that as a sort of a principle, partly because when we were having virtual meetings during COVID, it became quite difficult as a board to work quite so collectively. Meeting in person has been helpful for that. So obviously at the moment, if you were looking to be a board member, it would be preferable if you were in Orkney. But that's, I don't think, actually a requirement, but we could work that one through, I'm sure. So that's it. So we've got 12, and I would like to put forward the list of 12 all to be re-elected. That is, none of those are in officer positions. What the Constitution says is that once the board is elected, the board then determines who would take forward which position. And as David has said, we're hoping to have a short board meeting after this, and that's one of the things that we can decide then.
Thank you very much for that, Hayley. Would anybody like to put their names forward to join us at the meeting just now? I'm not going to take that as a no from folks, because it's very difficult to do it in the middle of a meeting to either put your hand up, because when one does that, one always feels somebody's going to look at you and say, why should they put their name forward? So let's take Hayley's more friendly suggestion that if you are interested, if you think that you might have a role to play, you'd like to be more involved in the work of the Archaeology Association, Society rather, then contact Hayley, drop her an email, contact me, drop me an email, come along, have a look at our board meetings, or we could meet for an informal chat and let you know what the responsibilities of being a board trustee is, and see what you feel about it. We don't need to take your non-involvement at this stage as being a final one. We'd be happy to have you on board. But we do have, is it 13 names, Hayley? 12. We have 12 names forward. Are we happy to accept the 12 names that we have in the documentation, folks? Yep, I'm seeing hands and thumbs being raised, so let us accept that. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of the business of tonight's meeting. As I say, it is purely formal but very important, the business that we've undertaken. I thank you for your attendance, and I'll ask Hayley to remind us about our in-person NES talk next week. Hayley.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we're absolutely delighted that on the 28th of May, which is a Wednesday, we have our talk with on the Nessa Brugge, which is going to be an in-conversation event between Nick Card and Mark Edmonds. Folk will know that both Nick and Mark have been involved in the Nessa Brugge for a very long time. And I think Nick and Mark and Anne Mitchell probably are the 3 names that you kind of associate with the talk, and probably Sigurd as well, given the relationship that Sigurd has in terms of the media that's come out from that. So we're classing this as one of our legacy events. We referred to that earlier on. And so a legacy event means that we're funding the cost of this from the bequest that we had from a member a number of years ago. And we are looking to sort of put those into events where we pay a little bit more money in terms of the quality of the filming and so on and so forth. So this will be professionally filmed for us, and it will go on to the website eventually. But we would really love as many people in the Orkney Theatre as possible for the event. It's one of these that will always be very good if you've got a good audience there. So it's Wednesday the 28th of May. It's in the Orkney Theatre, which is at KGS in Kirkwall. The doors will open at 6 o'clock. We have a traditionally very excellent raffle at this particular event. So we have collected some very good donated prizes for that. At 6:45, we are going to do the premiere of the film that Mark Jenkins did for us, of the Nessa Brugger exhibition, which is 30 minutes long, and has Mark and Nick as part of the people speaking to that. It's not a simple walk around and look at every case. It's them talking about it. There's some sound in it. There's the sound of birds at some point. There's the sound of archaeologists talking. It's a really fantastic, quite a different exhibition, and it was paid for out of our legacy project. It was one of the piece out of our legacy funding. That's at 6:45. It should be finished for about 7:15. We'll have a short break, and then at 7:30, the talk with Nick and Mark is going to start. If you can make the whole thing, fantastic. If you can only make the talk, get there for about 7:15 so that you come in and you're not waiting too long. And yeah, that's it. We're really looking forward to it. It would be lovely to think that we could have still continue to have an annual Nessa Brugger talk, and I'm sure if we can, we will. But we are mindful of the fact that obviously Nick and colleagues at the Ness have now moved into a different phase. So they've still got lots and lots of things to tell us about, a huge amount of work still to do. And our relationship and support for the Ness continues to be very important to us and to the Ness, as indeed is all of the support we give to the different projects across Orkney. So yeah, a week yesterday, Wednesday, the 28th of May.
Super. Thank you very much for that, Hayley. Something for us to look forward to in the short term, and in the longer term, folks. We've got another year's of work for the Orkney Archaeology Society. Thank you for your attendance tonight. Can I ask the board members to wait behind for a short 15-minute